Welcome to another episode of Becoming Her podcast. So today we are going to be talking about the voices in our head is lying to us. Voices in your head can be telling you to do something evil. I remember when someone was giving me a story and he told me how the voices in his head was telling him to go and do something bad, and how he was really grateful to God that he didn't finally do those things that the voices in his head were telling him. That assuming he did it, maybe he would have even been in prison. That's how bad the voices in our head can lie to us. I remember when I just left a mentally abusive relationship and the voices in my head were telling me to kill myself. It was telling me like, okay, what's the point of living? In fact, this thing where people used to say like, I don't understand how love will make you to harm yourself or do something, it can really be real sometimes. Because the voices in my head were telling me that, oh, better you are not worthy, better you are not likable, better you cannot amount to anything, better just stop trying because there's no point trying. And slowly, I was almost succumbing to what the voices in my head were telling me. Up until the day that day I came back from work, I was tired, I was fed up, but I don't know, because sometimes I just play around YouTube and I picked up my iPad and I went on YouTube, and the first person I'm seeing was Pastor Philip Anthony. I've never even watched the man prior to that time, and it felt like this man was just speaking to my soul. I don't know if you have ever experienced this thing where you're going through something and you just come online and you're seeing that same thing you're going through. Maybe someone is talking about it, someone is relating to your situation. That was really just what happened to me. And the pastor was just telling me when I was listening to him that he knows the pain, that in fact that even if we try to explain to the pain to most other people, that people are not going to understand, but that God can really comfort and that God can heal wounds. And I really started crying. I was crying. I was like, how did this pastor know that this was the situation of my life at that moment? It was really a very serious turning point of my life. It was a moment when I had to really reflect with myself. It was a moment when I had to tell myself that the voices in my head must be shut off. I had to tell myself that enough is enough, that I'm not listening to any voice again. That was when I had to start journaling more. That was when I had to start writing my thoughts. Whenever that voice in my head say I'm incapable, I'll tell the voice, shut up, I am made in the image of God. Shut up, I am made because I am needed. Because I am needed, I must fulfill my purpose on this earth. And even if right now is difficult, does not mean that is what is going to be what my life is about. Jim Rohn always says something. He says, in life there are seasons. There is spring, there is winter, there is rainy season. That every life has different seasons, and we being able to embrace the season is what makes us unique. So when those voices in my head are trying to talk to me that, oh, you are not good enough, have you not tried this before, didn't it fail, why are you trying it again, what I just tell myself when my mind is telling me is that God is preparing me for something better. Maybe if it's not working, it means that God is preparing me for something better. I understand that the voices in our head, especially with the current situation, we know how hard Nigeria is. We know how sometimes even trying to struggle to do something becomes very difficult. And I remember someone telling me, it's not as if we don't have our dreams and vision. It's not as though we don't want to aim higher or become higher people or something. But because of the way Nigeria had even somehow had a way of making us feel like we cannot imagine having to study a very lucrative course and you come out and you don't even find a job, you can't even eat 3 square meal. How do you want to tell that kind of person that the person should not believe the voices in the person's head? Like, let's actually be realistic. Let's have a conversation. Because it's very easy for us to come out online and say a lot of motivational craps. What if we can be real with ourselves? What if we can actually have some kind of conversations with ourselves? I'm not trying to excuse the government for not being bad. I'm not trying to say that the world is not terrible enough. But I want you to silence that voice. Jim Rohn said something. He said, the greatest key to a better future is you. When I was listening to him yesterday, he said, if you really want to change your life, you have to change how you think. And do you know the thing about this world? Is that your subconscious listens to what you repeat, and your subconscious almost becomes your reality. So what do you say to yourself? Are you going to allow the voices in your head win? Or are you going to allow your own voices win? Are the voices in your head negative, or are you going to replace the voices that are negative to be positive voices? How are you going to harness your future? Just the same way I was telling students in school that you having a good grade is not for your parents. So your good grades are not for your parents. Your good grades are for yourself. Your good grades is because you want a better future. You deciding to stand out no matter what. I remember when I went to make my hair, and then we were just all talking, and then someone was trying to say, oh, you will not have to blame those people doing so many things that are bad, that it's not because they don't have a choice. Because even the Bible says, let he that has no sin, let him cast the first stone. I'm not coming here to be one holier than thou person, but I want you to understand something. If you can place it in your mind that I want to become so and so, if you can take a book, for example, and then you write out your thoughts. I want to be so and so. I want to be the next big thing in my generation. I want my life to be better. Where do I see myself in the next 5 years? I see myself being great. Now, after saying where do I see myself, how can I become the person that I wish to be? What are the series of steps that I need to take to become the person that I need to be? What am I doing? Because you cannot be doing the same thing and expecting a different result. A friend of mine was talking to me and was telling me how I need to change in something, a particular thing that was happening, that I feels like my approach wasn't a good one, right? And what he said to me when it stuck in my head was when he said, Bethel, you cannot be doing the same thing and expect a different result. Since you have done the same thing for a long time and you have been getting the same result, how about you change it and do something different? How about you change it and live a different life? How about you try to trace what is the root cause of my problem? So many times we blame other people. So many times we blame our exes. So many times we blame our parents. So many times we blame our friends. So many times we blame so many other people. How about we start blaming and start checking our own self? What role am I playing in my suffering? What are the voices in my head making me believe about myself? What do I want to believe about myself? He says faith is the substance of things hoped for. Do you pray about something and actually really hope that what you're praying about is coming? Or do you pray about something because everybody is saying you should pray? What exactly is it? Have we not listened to the voices in our head that are giving us negative thoughts for so long? Are we going to keep being negative about our life? Does negativity bring anything good to us? I don't really understand the reason why when there's a negative news, there's a negative comment, we like to dwell there. Someone will tell you so many good things about yourself, you don't want to listen to it, but the moment someone tells you one bad thing, all of a sudden you're taking it and you're getting angry. But other things that people have told you, that you are worthy, you are this, you're not taking it, you're not believing it. For how long are we going to dwell on the negative part of life? To me, it doesn't even make sense to dwell on the negative. So how about we rewire our mind? Honestly, this podcast is just for you to understand that you can rewire your mind. You can become anything you want to become. Remember, the topic of our podcast is becoming her. How do I become the best version of myself? I remember how I've been giving excuses about exercise and how I will exercise today, I will be consistent for 1 week, I will stop, I will not exercise again. And I said to myself, you are deceiving yourself. I feel like you're not ready yet to do this exercise. You have to tell yourself that this is crap. You have to tell yourself that having to keep giving excuses to the reason why you are stuck is crap. You can get better with your life. I want you to decide that really enough is enough. I want you to silence the voices in your head. I want you to understand that the voices in your head cannot win. We cannot allow the voices in our heads to win. We cannot allow the enemies to win. There are so many people waiting to laugh at you. Are you going to allow them to win, to laugh? Or are you going to take hold of your future Are you going to tell them that whatever you thought of me is not going to be my reality because you are not God? And thank God, mmadụ abụrụkwa Chukwu. Na-agwa gị eziokwu, thank God mmadụ abụrụ Chukwu. Thank God that human beings are not God. Thank God that we have a God that is greater and bigger than everybody. Thank God that we have a God that even when we sin, even when we fall short of His glory and we go back to Him, He forgives. Thank God that God is a merciful Father. So whether the voices in your head are in your head because maybe you have made some mistakes in your life and it's telling you, after all, you have made mistakes now, what else? Have you not lived a stupid life? Have you not done this? So what other, are you not coming here to come and before me sent? See, even those people that have done the worst and the worst and the worst of sins, God still forgives. So I really want you to silence the voices in your head. I want you to love yourself. If you notice, whatever I've been talking about the Becoming Her podcast has really been centered around the same thing. Love yourself. Become the best version of yourself. Care for yourself. Carry yourself like an egg. Take care of yourself. Do things better for yourself. Listen to things that will uplift you. Listen to podcasts. Listen to YouTube. Listen to preachings. Read books. Uplift your mind. Silence the voices in your head. I want you to choose today to live better. I want you to choose today to do things better. I want you to love yourself. I want you to care for yourself. Thank you, and stay tuned to more episodes of Becoming Her podcast. And by the grace of God, we are all going to be transformed and we are going to get better. Thank you.